What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode on the Caddy. I might have said this in the last episode. Going to enjoy it for a couple of weeks, but no, it's the following day from the video that went up last week. It's the following day. No waiting around, no hanging around. I've got two kids and a missus, and to be able to enjoy the van with them, I need to get some rear seats on it, as it's only got two front seats. It's no good. So today we are straight on with getting the seats done. We've got a Touran, as you might have seen in one of the last episodes. We've got a Caddy. Rear seats are going in, all the interior, front seats, door cards, carpets. Let's have a little look and see what's going on. One Caddy, you might have seen it in the last video. It's come out nice, we're happy. Now, we need to move on to the seats in the back. Seats in the front. It's quite tidy in there at the minute. You might have seen one of the first episodes, maybe episode 2, it was absolutely hanging. So we've gutted the interior, we've cleaned all underneath, we've put it all back in. Now it's time to rip it out again. As we have a full Touran with all the nice interior, carpet and stuff, we're going to get that in. Today I'm going to focus on the rear seats. There's the Touran front seats. I have got a full set in that Touran, but these ones are a bit prettier. We have also got a nice steering wheel and the Touran under seat bases. This is the bit in question. This bit of floor pan comes up, it's got multiple spot welds. This bit comes up, then the same bit of floor comes out the Touran and goes straight-ish in here. I'm not sure how to do it, not done one before, so I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm going to move a few bits around and I'm going to get the front seats and the rubbery carpet and the centre console out, and then we can assess what we need to do. I'm not going to time lapse this, I'm just going to strip it out and we'll have a butcher's to see what's here. 15 minutes later, couple of buzz guns, few screws, few bolts, it's stripped out. I've got the rear section of the carpet out for now, or rubber matting, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm going to move on to this panel. From what I've seen, I'm going to cut a little slice through there and then I'll trim it up nicely when this is out the way. And if we look round the side here, we've got multiple spot welds. So I'm going to drill those out, pop the back up, and the spot welds, this all is one panel that runs underneath this wiring loom. The wiring loom does run through it, but I'll cut a little slit in there, bend it out, and then we can get the wiring loom out. Same again that side. Some adhesive holding the corners in, and yeah, we'll get this panel out. One little tip if you're playing with seat belts, because I've had to remove the lower trims, I've unbolted the bottom part of the seat belt, and from previous experience, if your seat belt retracts all the way into there, they lock up and they're really hard to get out sometimes. DTE tip, I tie a knot in it. I pull a little bit out, tie a knot in it. That way, when you unbolt it, it doesn't all ravel up and then lock up. Yeah, I've had that problem a few times in the past. I just wanted to mention. Let's get the stand out. Let's get the time lapse on the go. Let's get this bad boy out. Got everything I'm going to need. Spot welds. Use a proper spot weld drill bit. They're flat on the end because you don't want to go too far and put a hole in the van. You only want to take the top layer off. We've got it's a bit like a chisel. It's sharp but not too sharp. So once you've drilled through it, a little tap along there, the spot weld should pop apart. We've got a grinder for obvious reasons. Let's get on with it. That was hard work. The video I watched, he said he'd done it in 10 minutes. I don't know. I know how to use hammer and chisel and I've done stuff like this. It probably took me about half hour. And in the corners, there was some welded bits. They are a bit of a pain. I ended up hammering and chiseling through them. And then I hammer and chisel through this. I'll cut that off. Make it all pretty with a grinder. hoover all this mess out, weld through zinc primer on all the welds, hoover up in here, and yeah, there's a couple of bits of metal I just need to get off. Get them off, clean it out in here, then it's time for the Touran. Got the Touran over. Caddy is tucked away back in its home for now. Touran is over. Now I need to strip this down. I am still using it as an everyday car at the minute, so I'm going to leave the front half in. I know I need to take the armrest console out. Yeah, some of these plastics I think just pull off. We'll find out. So I am going to take the seats out, centre console, rear carpet, these plastics, and we'll see what's underneath. Well, that took a bit longer than the Caddy. That armrest, God, what a fiddly pain in the arse job that was. Anyway, it's out. I've cut the carpet as far back as I think I need. I definitely don't need any more carpets. The floor pan slightly tapers off in the Touran and it's flat in the Caddy. This front section looks the same. Underneath this rail, we do need to get said spot welds out. But from other videos I've seen, this bit was welded in too. Mine's bolted in. Easy to take out, but I take it, I've got to weld it into the Caddy rather than bolting. Don't mind, it's just different to any videos I've seen. So hopefully it fits, because yeah, it's there's no turning back basically. I have got to put 2 seats back in this in the front. It is my daily runner still. Might be a bit noisy with the carpet stripped out and a few more bits stripped out. We have got Touran parts everywhere. That's it for today. It's dinner time. It's Sunday. It's 4 o'clock. I've been at it all day. Dinner time. We'll resume again tomorrow. We're back at it. Went and had dinner with the missus and the kids. A few episodes of Mr. Bean cartoon. 10-minute snooze on the sofa. I'm ready to go again. Let's get these bits out. So as mentioned in the last shot, this is bolted on. 16mm, 10mm. Got my sockets ready. Buzz gun this back plate out. Loads of spot welds in a similar place as the Caddy. Pull the loom out the way. We have got a lip that overlaps, so this panel sits under the floor pans. So I've got to cut along there with a grinder, bend that lip open. Easy. Let's get on with it. It's now the following day, a Monday, and I did finish at about 11 o'clock last night, and I just want to show how involved getting that panel out is. That is outside. The skin that we needed was actually one of the bottom layers. It was the middle layer. We had to undo some bolts from underneath. They held the exhaust and the tank straps. And for now, I've just put them back in with some nuts on. I am still using this as my everyday car, but we've got a gaping hole in the floor. I've never seen how far you need to go with the Touran and what's left. Hopefully showing you this and the outside full-on Flintstones motor should give you a rough idea as to how deep it is. The back welds weren't too bad. The side ones were a bit of a wiggle. Yeah, ended up getting a big bar in from the back and levering it up, and that snapped a few off, because once you've taken this strip off, there's more spot welds underneath. Anyway, I'll end up welding that seam up, putting some tape over the holes, and I'll use it for a couple more weeks. Let's have a look what's inside. You should have seen in one of the time lapses that I got the grinder out. Let's have a look in the Caddy and see how the panel sits. The back one, as we know, unbolted on my model. I have seen on others that you have to unspot weld, unpick them. Mine unbolted, so I'm sorry I can't show you undoing the spot welds, but it'll be a very similar process. Mine bolts in, I'll just weld it into the floor of the Caddy. Yeah. Let's have a little look in the van. Now, I have unpicked the wiring loom. It goes onto these little tabs. We've got a trim tool. We just popped them off. That is roughly where it wants to sit. The floor pan is very similar. It's all stepped in the right places, so it will find two flat surfaces to meet. On the sides, I'm going to trim it. What are we saying? That's about 2 inches up, and I've come right next to this spot weld at a slight angle because I want it to angle with the floor. I'm going to cut this out of both sides and I'll see how it fits again. I am cutting a little bit further back, another inch up top, almost to where the bend is, and another inch further forward. Let's cut this and see how that fits. Well, that sits a bit better. I am over the moon with that, and now it's all trimmed up so it fits in. You can see it lines up with the old mark. It literally comes back to a stop. There's no guessing whether it's straight. It's absolutely perfect. And if we look at, you can see the swage lines, and the swage lines line up with the van. Absolutely brilliant. Now, the only thing I'm going to do is notch these out. Can you see these bumps? Well, I'm going to notch them out with a grinder. Just marked them with a black pen crudely. But we know this panel in the Touran sat under this one and sat under that one, but we're not going to start unpicking this and put it underneath. We're just going to lay it on top. So we want this to sit as flush as possible on this. So I'm going to notch these out, and that is almost there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little black pen in all the marks, and then I will grind it off along there. We will put some weld through primer, and yeah, that is pretty simple. One thing I just wanted to point out, we've got a flap disc on the grinder, and if you remember the bolt holes from holding the tank and that up on the Touran, well, I just hit the bottom with the flap disc on the grinder because they do sit a little bit proud and we want it to sit flush. So I hit the bottom of the grinder, rolled it over, and they just banged out. We will clean them up, but now the panel can sit completely flush into the van. I'm just getting a tiny bit picky now, but it's the last cut. Can you see this panel? Well, if I cut along there and then along that line and there, that will then drop straight in behind that, and that will literally be really flush because these are sat slightly proud, sat flush, slightly proud. So if I cut that out, they'll sit flush. Last cut, and I have gone round and put a bit of black pen where all the spot welds are, so I can die grind them off, weld through primer, and that is it. Let's have a little butcher's. So I cleaned the van where it's going to weld to. I've cleaned all the spot welds on the top of the panel. We have got weld through primer on the van, and we have got weld through primer on the underneath of said panel. We can check out the last cut that I made, and you can see it fits round it nicely. Now, I'm 99.99999%, that is where it needs to be. I'm going to tack weld it in 4 corners, and then I'm going to offer the back up. I'm going to put a couple of seats in, make sure it's right, draw around the back plate, clean it all out, then put the seats in, then take them all out, then weld them up. Let's do it. That is all the welding done. I have filled all the spot welds on the back, and the same on this end. I just ended welding around the ends rather than the spot welds. This sat a little bit higher, but I just beat it down, welded around the edges, plugged all the plug welds, and then with the back, rather than the bolt holes, I've welded more times than there was bolt holes. Again, on the front, there's a few extra welds, and there is some little spacers because it sat a little bit higher at the front, maybe 4 or 5 mil. Put some packers under it, then done the welding. A little bit of zinc silver over all the welds. Happy with that. There's no point in painting it. You could paint it if you're going to be really fussy, but there's carpet going on top. But yeah, happy with how it's turned out. Seats fit nice. Just need to fit the rest of the interior. It's now time for seat belts, and I have had to make a few bits, as you can see. I got the rails out of the Touran. I do have a Touran for spares, so I've unbolted the rails, I've took it all apart, and then I've come out with this. That had a square bolt that went into there. I put it in a vise and I managed to tap the nut out. I then cut out some 3mm thick steel, crudely, out of a piece of box section. Drilled a hole in it, put the bolt in it, and I've welded it on. That is my backing plate. I have got a small hole in there. Let me show you what that's for. We got one seatbelt in and all working. Now let me explain. When I went to fit the seatbelt, which is hiding behind there with the original bolt and the original hole nicely, it wasn't mentioned in another YouTuber's video that there was this extra box section here. You couldn't physically get the seatbelt in, so I've had to cut that out with a hammer and chisel. I did put a piece of plywood there because I didn't want to hit the outside of the body, obviously. Yeah, hammer and chiseled that out. Then I've used an air saw to get the rest of it out. That managed to get the seatbelt in there. Happy days, nicely. Now the back plate I've made and mentioned, because there was no access to get the seatbelt in, there wasn't no access at all to get your arm up and put the plate that I've made there. So I got a piece of small wire, threaded it down, got it out here, tied it into the little hole in the back plates I've made. We've shimmied it up and then we've put a bolt in. And then, so when we take these off to carpet the van, I have drilled a hole and pop riveted it. So if I take this out, the backing plate stays there. Then all I've done, I've just bolted that through the wheel arch. I do need to tighten it up with a big square washer on the back. That is driver's side done. Now, passenger side was a little bit more involved, and if we can see why, there was a thick piece of metal in there. I had an air saw and I managed to chop that out of it. That sat in there at a skew-if angle. I've then cut slits in it. Can we see the slits? Multiple slits. I've then bashed it back as far as it can go. And as I say, in another video, the guy had trimmed a bit of the outside plastic off. Well, I didn't want to do that, so I've cut a little sliver out of here. I've moved the hole a bit up and a bit further left. I did cut a little slit to bend this open to get a little bit more access. The hammer did get me, unfortunately, but never mind. I will weld that back together and I'll put a thick wash around there. Let me put this seatbelt in. Seatbelt is in. I've done the same again. I need to get a big washer, but we've got the seatbelt in. Doesn't look that pretty. This metal here that's quite close to it, I'm going to bend that lip under so the seatbelt runs on a smooth bit of surface rather than chafing. Done the same again. I was going to drill it there, realised it was close to the panel on the outside. Readjusted. Happy days. All working. That has taken me a fair few hours to do both sides. Finally time to get on with putting the rest of the Touran interior in. Just getting all the Touran trims and carpet out, and we've got all nice black plastics rather than the cream or beige stuff. And now we're into this corner. I had to Google search this and it was a pain in the backside to work out. So here's your handle, your bonnet handle. Do you know how to get it out? Well, here's the one off of the Caddy. Can you see that? That little clip just pops up. Handle slides straight off. Happy days. Now we just push it back in and push it back on when you're ready. That'll get this trim out of the way. And then with regards to the foot pedal, when it focuses, with regards to the foot pedal, there is a 10mm bolt under there. And then under the carpet here, there's two locators. Not sure if you can do it through there. You might be able to do it through there, but there's just some little bendy plastic bits. You've got to bend them over and then this pops up. Took me ages to find out how to do it, but we got both in my video. Happy days. Got all the interior pieces I need out of the Touran. We've now got Caddy spec Touran. Rubbery carpets, grey trim, not very nice. There is still a few bits I need to get off this, like the door cards, etc. We've got some rubber matting in the back. We've still got a massive hole in the floor, but the kids ain't going in it. It's just me. I'm only using it for another week or so, and I will weld that up. But anyway, Caddy is stripped right out. We're full strip out. I did change the handbrake lever because mine was minging and this was slightly different. And it had the leather end on it. Rather than pull it off, I just changed the whole lot. Nice and easy. Popping out for dinner. I'll be back. As soon as I get back, I'm going to clean everything. Lots of plastics and carpets to go back in. Lots of interior. I need to hoover all the carpets out. We'll do that as soon as I get back. Moving on to the dashboard, I decided I preferred the Caddy dash. I like the round vents and yeah, I like the Caddy dash. I like the little cubby holders on top. But after driving the Touran for a few weeks, I really liked the pull down compartment that was here. And on the Caddy, they don't have anything. It's just a fuse box cover, no good. So we stripped out the cubbyhole of the Touran, come over and had a look, and it was different. So I had a look past all the plastics and I noticed that all this bracketry was the same. A few bits down there were the same. All the fuse box area was the same, so it should fit. Basically, I have cut that bit of plastic off the Caddy dash. I've cut that bracket off of the Caddy dash and it does bolt on behind there. I cut them right along the bottom. We've cut that bit of plastic out. Behind that bit of plastic was a bit of metal that bolted on up here, and what I've done, I've cut all the same pieces out of the Touran. I cut that bracket out, I undone this 10mm bolt and I've just put it in behind it and done the bolt up. I cut the same bit of plastic out of the Touran, that bolts straight to it and nicely, and the same bracket is out of the Touran. It bolts in there and then it's just welded along there. Let's offer it up and see if it fits. I did have to elongate these holes where the top clips in a little bit. It doesn't look too pretty there. I had to get a file in there and it took quite a while. I've probably gone along about 20mm. All fits in, and I do have a cable tie holding the top in. A little bit crude, but it's solid. It does the job. If you can get the metal trim fixings in, good job. Happy days. One thing that's a little bit of a pain, we've got the end plate. I had to cut the bottom lugs off. The Touran one didn't fit, the Caddy one didn't fit, but now I've probably put a screw in the bottom there. Factory. Now, I do have all my prized possessions in there. Oh yeah. I am going to put a little LED strip under there. a bit similar to this LED, but that one's 5 volt. I've ordered some 12 volt. When you pull over at night time, can't see anything. I'm gonna put a wire through the A post up to the interior light. When you pull over, interior light on, open that, little light, happy days. Again, see your prized possessions. Really happy with that. That's something I really wanted into the Caddy. Not seeing any posts on it at all. World's first. DTE world first, eh? If anyone has done it, comment down below. Shoot my dreams down. That is where we're up to today. End of the week, videos going out tomorrow. I'm happy, really happy with how the rear seats have gone in. This trim piece is the old trim piece from the Caddy. The floor used to come here, so I've chopped it down and I have painted it a similar colour as to the rest of the Touran plastics, because you can only use half of the Caddy plastics, half of the Touran plastics. Caddy plastics are white, Touran's are dark grey. Real nice. They flip down, fold up, pop out. Yeah, really good. Pucker little seats. Remember, we've only got a seat belt on either side, and the middle one will probably be a lap belt, maybe at a later date. No one important sitting in it for now anyway. The interior in the front has gone on real nice. Caddy door cards, I have given them a bit of a clean. Yeah, really impressed with them. We have got different front seats to rear seats. I have got the matching front ones, but I like these a bit better. Yeah, they're a bit more pleasing, they're a bit more comfy. Yeah, happy days. The rest of it is all nice. Yeah, real nice. Really happy. So if you've ever had a VW of a similar age, you'll notice that the plastics are covered in a rubbery material that picks off a little bit like that and goes all scratchy. Well, I've rubbed down and satin blacked the window switches. Happy with those. We've got some rubber matting in. Yes, I've gone to all the effort of putting carpet in to then have rubber matting, but the floor of my industrial estate is like this, so it's easy to keep clean. If I just sit in here, so the pillar trims, these are original Caddy ones, and that's what colour they were. A light grey, sort of horrible colour, not too nice. I've painted those. That is raw colour. I'll show you the colour. I mixed in a little bit of hardener with the base coat, and that just makes it a bit thicker, a bit more durable and a bit flexible, and it actually matches pretty well. Yeah, really happy with the colour match. Done both sides, and I am planning to do these at a later date. The roof panel, and I'm going to carpet that because that's minging, and we don't like the light, we want it sort of a nice dark in here. So I've ordered some anthracite carpet to board the back out. I will make a video on that, and I'm going to wrap this at the same time, and I'm going to paint that and that same colour as that, so it all blends in nice. That is it for the Caddy Touran interior. A little swing round of the seats. Oh yeah, happy days. The boys should be loving those. My plate has finally gone live. I did put my number plates on the other day in the last video. I got a bit carried away, but I checked on DVLA website today and they've gone live, so I can actually use it. And I said in the last video I'm going to use it for a few weeks. I'm actually going to use it, maybe just tonight. Reason being, I want to lower it. It's like a four-wheel drive pumped up Caddy. It's really high, so we're going to lower it. That is the next video, and then we're going to do the ply lining and the carpet lining of the interior. Good week's progress. I have had work in as well, so yeah. There is plenty more videos on the Caddy, so check out the build series. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.